Hey, what's up, everybody? Mogan Monster here, and welcome to Why the Fascination, or WTF as I like to call it. Hope everybody's having a good night. It's good to see everybody here. Got a few people in chat tonight. I'm going to be doing things a little bit different tonight, provided my guest shows up. This gentleman has a show. His name is Lee. He has a show called, he has a channel called the Ravens Outpost. He's new. He's got a few videos out. But he's into the whole Bigfoot thing, and he's got some good ideas and experiences. And, I just checked him out this afternoon. I saw him pop on, and I figured, what the hell? I think the whole show, he only had like 5 or 6 watching while I was there. He definitely deserves a bigger audience, So hopefully he'll show up. Lester Taylor, how's it going? Pop Craig, how are you, man? Hey, Emma, good to see you. Mr. Lee, what's going on, man? You pussy. Every time, buddy. Every time. Hi, Bustamante, how are you? Welcome. Sorry if I sound distant. This setup doesn't work for me. I'm sitting in my trailer. Literally, I'm like, my elbows are on my knees, and I'm leaning forward, and the microphone's too far away. But I suppose if I set up the table, because I'm sitting on it right now because I'm using it as a bed, that might work. So we'll see. Just threw this together tonight. Lester says you look warmer tonight, Mogs. Well, you know what? It's funny because here, I'll show you. I just hooked up that. That's one of those Mr. Buddy heaters. Usually it runs on a little propane pound cylinder, but they don't last. So I ran over to the hardware store and picked up some parts and swapped some things out, and now I have it in this trailer. There's it has a stove, so there's a gas line there, but there's also a gas line that goes outside because you could put the stove outside. So I took that gas line and adapted it to fit this heater. So now it just runs off the 25 pound, I don't have to worry about running any heat or propane. Jimbo, what's happening, man? Welcome. Hey, Dan. What's up, man? The Daily Dan. Gary Spikes. What's up, brother? Rosemary Andrews. How are you? Welcome. Who else? Well, there's 28 watching. I'm sure we'll have a lot more show up. Let's hope, right? Hey, Rex, what's going on? I'm just scrolling back and back to see who's been here. All right. Actually, Lester, I think I'm going to get a little too warm. I might have to turn that thing off. Maybe not. I'm sitting a little close to it. Who else? Michael, what's up, man? I think I got everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. There's not that many in chat. So yeah, as I was saying, the Ravens Outpost. I believe he's a former police officer, law enforcement, and he's had an experience or two, and he's got stories to tell. I mean, he's got some paranormal stuff, and he might be waiting in the wings. I'm gonna I'm going to post the link in chat, guys. But do me a favor. Don't click on it. Lee, if you're listening, if you're waiting, click on this link and we'll get things going. I ask that nobody else clicks on that right now. As soon as we get things rolling and you know, he gets comfortable and stuff, we'll probably put the link back in chat. You know, let him meet some of the crew, some of the family. Hey, B. Judy. How are you guys, or girls? Joey Hayes, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while. North Alabama Cryptid, welcome. Central Vermont Porcupine Research Organization. Okay. I think that's a dig at a certain someone. Unless it's legit. I don't know. But welcome. BF Bud, man, what's up? How's Angie doing? Hey, Stevie. Right on. All right, guys. Do me a favor. That link that's out there, don't click on it. I will get back to you guys with the link, I'm sure, eventually. But right now, I'm going to have Lee come on from the Ravens Outpost. What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Turn off YouTube. I got an echo.
Just a second. Let me switch things up here real quick.
No worries. Who else is in this chat? Lockbeard, what's up, man? I was watching Lockbeard earlier.
All right, is that better?
And last night, ooh, that sounds terrible. You sounded terrible. It sounded like all tinny, but try again.
All right, how's that?
You sound all right.
All right, cool.
I still hear that echo. You still have YouTube playing in the background. I mean, you can have YouTube, but you got to mute it. Like you could have two. Like if you like watching the chat in YouTube instead of on, StreamYard, because you can't interact on StreamYard as a guest with chat. A lot of people pull up YouTube and chat through that. You can do that, but just make sure it's muted. Unless, no. I don't even know where my headphones are right now.
Can you still hear it?
I can. I don't think so. Nope. Can't
Is that clear?
Awesome.
Cool.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, brother. How about you?
Yeah. I'm doing good.
Good.
I see you got yourself a channel.
Yep.
And I've checked it out a few times, and I think you deserve a lot more attention than you're getting.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. You need some subs, and I think we can do something about that a little bit tonight. But yeah, tell us about yourself, man. Like, how'd you get into this, or your background, and why the fascination, man?
Well, shoot. I guess my fascination for the paranormal started a long time ago. I had my first experience when I was a kid. Back then, it wasn't a fascination; it was a fear. Up till about my teenage years, it was something I didn't think a whole lot about. I had a lot of experiences, but it's one of those things that I just kind of try to brush off and didn't talk a lot about. It wasn't until I was much older that the paranormal experiences became a little bit more personal. And I got interested then, especially when my house wound up being haunted. I had to deal with that for a while. That was pretty wild. Me and my ex-wife had moved into this house, and we hadn't been there maybe 2-3 months when the activity started. And we didn't live in the house a whole year before the damn thing caught fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, and I did my own investigation into all of it, and I got their story about what was going on while I was at work. It seemed like after a while, all the activity was coming after them.
Them being your family?
Yep, me. It was there for a little while, but not very long, because I took dominion over the house. I walked through the house, said, look. One day I just got fed up. I said, look, if you're going to live here, my name is on the deed. That's a fact. If you want to live here, look, I can make you a cup of coffee. There's food in the refrigerator. Just leave me alone. This is my house. And after that, it was pretty much simple. It didn't bother me. I hear the occasional beat and bang, but that's about it. There were knocks at the door, and a lot of this stuff would happen in broad daylight, man. Broad daylight.
Wow.
I remember I'm sitting in the living room watching TV, and from where my front door was, you could look straight through from my front door to my back door. It was a patio door, right, and straight through, from the living room to the kitchen. And I could hear that bang on that glass. I'm like, okay, who's there? I thought it was one of my nieces or nephew, and nobody was there, man. Nobody. And I get up and check, and there was a knock at the other door. Okay, somebody's messing with me. So I just sit and wait for it to happen again. It happened again, but there wasn't nothing there. I could see it. There's some crazy stuff, man. But after that, like I said, it didn't bother me after I took dominion. But it was my wife and my stepson. At the time, it seemed to be focusing everything on. I was at work. I was in law enforcement at the time. I remember I'm standing in the break room, and where the break room was at, it was just right outside dispatch. One of my dispatchers come outside and said, Lee, somebody's on the phone for you. It's an emergency. Okay. And this is like 9:30 at night. And I go in to dispatch, and I answer the phone. It's my sister. And she says, Lee, you got to come home. Your house is on fire. To be honest with you, I didn't know what the hell to say at that point. I was like, God damn. I stepped out in the break room. My sergeant was there. My partner was there. I said, look, guys, I got to go home. They were like, what's going on? My house is on fire. And I took off. Dealt with that for a little while. We were without a house for about 3 or 4 months. Insurance paid for the rebuild. But at that point, my marriage was shot. And, I moved back into that house. And after that, there was nothing. That house was, it was like that house was clean.
But you were still living in the house. Your ex and stepson had moved out?
Yep.
Okay, so maybe it was an attachment to one of them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. They didn't have the best of relationships, and there was a lot of stuff going on there. And he'd seen shadow figures in the house. He had told me that I was at work. He said he woke up and saw this shadow of a man standing in his doorway of his bedroom. He thought it was me until he realized that it wasn't. It wasn't me. After that, I mean, it was just, I needed to find out that everything that's happened to me in my lifetime, that I need to figure out what the hell this is all about. Where did it come from? And that's where it started. And I was actually still living there. I needed to take a break. There was a lot of stuff going on at work, and I just needed to take a break from everything. I'm going to go camping. I'm going to get back to nature. So I've on my folks' place, a lot of room to move. My dad owned 72 acres, and it butted up against more than a couple of hundred. And I went up to the top of the mountain, set up camp, and I was going to be there for 3 whole days. It was great until that third night. I'm sitting there. I'm set up real good. I got the campfire going. I got my Coleman lantern going. I'm sitting in a camping chair reading a book, man, just feeling good. And then
enjoying life.
Enjoying it, man. Peace and quiet. No people. It was great. And I'm on top of a ridge. Down over the ridge behind me on my right, it's just a deep hollow. And I'm sitting there. I hear this sound that I ain't never heard before. It's incredibly loud, and it scared the shit out of me. I'm like, what the hell is that? It started out like a growl, graduated to a howl, to a scream. And I ain't never heard anything. And I grew up running around on that property since I was a kid. Many a time I walked up on a trail, this old logging road winding up the mountain there, barefoot with a walking stick. The worst thing I run into when I did that when I was a kid was a bobcat. That was it. She had kittens, so I backed away from that. That's the scariest thing I had happen to me on that property. But that night, when I heard that, I didn't know what the hell to think. It rang out three different damn times, and all I had with me was a camp axe to cut up some firewood, a little .32 automatic pistol for snakes, because this happened in August. And I wasn't long getting the hell off that mountain, because I knew whatever that was, it was big. It had to been, just to make that racket. It was loud, super freaking loud. I said, and scary as hell. I had this feeling like I was on the menu, and this was coming down from below me. And I had a 4-wheel drive Jeep, and I left all my stuff there. That's the first time I ever got run out of a camping spot. I've camped out by myself a bunch. Never had anything like that happen to me. A while later, I got on the internet and tried to find animal sounds, what I could relate it to, and the closest thing I could come to was an African lion with a roar. But how it started out with a growl, a howl, a scream, I don't know what the hell that was. A few years later, man, that's about, I want to say 2014. I run across Sasquatch Chronicles, and it was the pirated episodes that they'd had up of Wes's show. And I was listening to it. And I'd be damned, he had the Ohio Howl up there, and I was listening to the Sierra Sounds and listening to all that. And I said, man, that's the closest thing I've ever heard to coming to what I heard, you know. And it just blew my mind. I'm thinking, are you serious? Is this what I heard? I live in Southwest Virginia. Where I'm at, you go south of me is North Carolina. Go a little farther west, it's Tennessee or Kentucky. And go a little up north, maybe 2 hours, I'll be in West Virginia. And I didn't think anything like that was here.
Issue.
Am I breaking up?
No, I think it's on my side. Sorry, but
It's all good, brother, because my internet's been junk here lately.
his internet in there, and he's hogging up all the internet.
No. There we go. Uh-oh, I hope we ain't lost Moggs. That would suck. Uh-oh, here we go. It's just me. I done hijacked this show. Damn it, man. Max, how you doing, buddy? I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope everything's going all right. All right, I'll continue this story. I backed off that mountain pretty quick. I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know what to do. Looking for that. It was a couple of years later. This happened in 2006. And it's 2014, around about the time when I stumbled across that episode of Sasquatch Chronicles. And sure enough, here we go.
Sorry, guys, I had to switch to my phone. Hey, do what I got to do, you know?
You damn right.
Yeah, I don't know why they're probably using a lot of the internet inside, so I'm just using off my data on my phone. I'm not even going to attempt to hook up to the internet. So I'm sorry about that, man.
Dude looks good.
If you want to take, start off where you left off.
Where I found the sounds. Yeah, I mean, like I said, from the time I heard the sound when I got run off a mountain was in 2006. 2014 is when I stumbled across Sasquatch Chronicles, and I did it on a whim. I didn't think nothing of it, and I was one of those jackasses who thought it was a big joke. Seriously. And I heard the Sierra Sounds. I heard the Ohio Howl, and Ohio Howl honestly was one of the closest things that I could hear that I knew that sounded like that. And it gave me the chills, man. I'm like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? The fact of the matter is, it wasn't the first time I heard that. Not long after me and my wife had got married and had our son, we were living in another place. This is a couple years later. This is 2013. Very rural area, right? And she's at work. I'm at home with the boy, and he was maybe 2 months old at the time. And I went to take the dog out. This is probably 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. I went to take the dog out for the night, and down below us was a field. They run horses in, and just outside the fenced-in area where they camp them at was train tracks. Train run through there like clockwork every other day. I didn't think nothing of it. Cattle farm, a dairy farm, actually, maybe a mile up the road. And there was a creek down there. I remember I had him out there, and I heard that sound down there in that bottom again. I'm like, what the hell, you kidding me? And it's like one of those things where you can't really believe you're hearing what you're hearing.
Again.
And again, here. And this is miles away from where I'd heard it the first time.
Sure.
But still in the same county. And the cattle on that dairy farm were going nuts. And I heard it go off again. That roar, scream, howl. I heard it again. I hollered at my dog, and my dog, normally, you'd have to holler at him a couple of times, but I think he knew what the hell was up, because he hightailed it to me. We got in the house, and I locked all the doors. Like that would done any good if he wanted to get in, now that I know what I know. But after we moved from there and got into another place, like I said, I was screwing around on YouTube and found Sasquatch Chronicles. That's where I heard the howl, and it blew my mind. Like I said, I was one of them jackasses that thought it was just, if it really did exist, it was at the Pacific Northwest somewhere, around Washington or Oregon or somewhere like that. And I didn't figure it'd be in Virginia. Damn.
No, that's basically how I was introduced, was through Sasquatch Chronicles. I never really thought about Bigfoot too much. I'd see a video here and there, but didn't pay it any attention. Stumbled upon Sasquatch Chronicles and started listening and got hooked. At first, it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
And then it's like, really? A few videos later, it's like, no shit. And because you start to see all these similarities, and now I'm just like, yeah, I'm a, I want to say believer,
Oh yeah. Dude, I tell you what, man, my ideas have changed so much over the years. Where I live at right now, I'm a stone throw away from Jefferson National Forest, public land. There's hiking trails, primitive camping areas out there. I said, you know what? I was at home by myself one day. This is after my son started going to school. Put him on the bus. My wife was at work. I was off from work, and I'm like, I'm just going to go for a ride. I'm going to check this place out. And I went out there and looked around. I mean, it was weird because everything looked different. It's not like I ain't never been in the damn woods before. It ain't like I've never been through laurel thickets and stuff like that before. But because of knowing what I know, everything was, it's like a veil had been lifted, and I was seeing things through a different set of eyeballs.
Yeah.
And it was like, I wonder. And I was seeing, I was thinking, man, old Sasquatch could be behind every other bush. You just don't know. And it was exciting. I didn't know no better. you'd think an older fella wouldn't be that way, but I was like a kid.
Yeah, it is. It is like listening to all that. I've never had an experience. I mean, little things, but but I don't let it keep me out of the woods.
Right.
There may come a day when it might, but until then, I'm staying in the woods.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like how I was. I mean, I'd heard that mess before, and I'm like, I'm not going to let it keep me out of there. I was raised in the woods pretty much. I'm not going to let it keep me out of there, keep me from doing what I want to do. And it wasn't long. It was my second or third trip out there. I remember I pulled off the side of the road, and it was just sitting there just listening. And I got out of my Jeep and just sat up on the hood for a minute and just lit up a cigarette. Back when I smoke a little bit, I lit up a cigarette. I'm sitting there enjoying that sucker, and I hear this sound off to my left, up in a set of laurel bushes. It almost sounded like a mechanical bird.
Really?
I'm like, what the hell is that? I never heard anything like that. I can't even mimic it. Almost like a messed up R2-D2. I'm not kidding you. Just like, what is that? And I get to hearing these stories about, how they mimic things and how sometimes their mimicry is imperfect and how it can be a little too loud. I'm like, I'm looking at your chat here. It's asked if I've seen any unexplained lights in the woods. No, actually, I don't. When I was younger, I saw something, but not since I've been, researching and investigating Sasquatch sightings and things like that. So yeah, I'd been boots on the ground, looking through there, and I found tracks, foot tracks, knuckle tracks, but none good enough that I could actually cast. Taking pictures. I got a pile of pictures. I've got audio of wood knocks, and at one point, I'm doing my investigations, and I was exploring a theory about wood knocks around where my area is. Sometimes it sounds like they're trying to mask their wood knocks, covering up with woodpeckers. A woodpecker will sound, and you'll hear a couple of rapid knocks that just don't fit. If you listen to a woodpecker, an actual woodpecker in the woods, when they're beating on a tree or a log or something like that, they've got a distinct pattern, and it's a rapid brrr, brrr. And this one wasn't like that. It was a little slower, a little louder. And so one day, I'm following that sound, and I think it got a little too close. Because after a point, and I've got all this on video, I stop, I sit down on a log, and I got my camera set up on a little tripod, right? I set it down, and the knocks stop, and everything gets kind of quiet. And then you hear a whoom. A damn limb falls. It's like, all right, that could be a coinkydink, or they could be just telling me to get the hell out of there.
Sure.
And I felt a little weird, so I said, okay, I'm going to back up now. I have never seen one. I've known they've been around, though. I've actually heard chatter. But this is back in April last year. my nephew was getting ready to move out west to Nevada, and it was going to be a while before we saw each other again. Me and him really close. Pretty much, yeah. That's about the truth. I'll tell you another story here in a minute. And this is the last time I've done any camping. It was like I said, it was in April last year, and it was a good night. And it's going to sound silly, but I've gotten to a point where I'll step out in the woods, and I know very little Navajo, but what little Navajo I know, I'll speak it. I'll step out in the woods and I'll holler it. I'll yell, "Yate,
Yate,
yate," and it's just letting them know I know that they know I'm there.
Sure.
And I want to be left alone. And that night was a good night. It was a full moon. We had a good fire going. And my nephew never heard anything before, but that night he heard wood knocks. He heard an owl that didn't sound like an owl. And then he heard the chatter. And it sounded like best thing I could describe it is, and I don't mean to sound, this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. It sounded like an older Japanese woman giving her son the riot act. That's what it sounded like. I was like, what? And my nephew looked at me and said, he giggled and he said, "What the hell is that? Is there somebody out there?" I said, "Son, ain't nobody out there." I said, "There's woods about 1.5 miles between us and the next camping site." I said, "Ain't nobody out there but Sasquatch." He said, "Bullshit." I said, "No, you He said, "No." I said, "You listen, just listen." And he heard it again, and it did. I could almost see that finger wagging. And the owl was the first thing that got him. No, the tree knock was the first thing that got him. I take it back, the tree knock, because it sounded like somebody mending fence. Is what it sounded like. Pop, 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 and that's he's like, "What the hell is that?" And it's up on the ridge above us. I said, "This a tree knock, wood knock, or whatever you want to call it." I said, "They're around." I said, "We might have some activity tonight." And then later on that night, after the sun went down, and we're sitting around the campfire, you hear the hoot of an owl, and it was a poor, it was a poor imitation. It really was, but it was loud. I guess you could say it might have been a juvenile that did it. I can't say for sure. I would think that an older one would mimic a little bit better, but nobody really knows.
Sure.
But it was just weird.
So Jeff at Pine Island.
Hagone, yeah. Yes, indeed. And I do that when I leave the woods. I'll pack everything up and I'm leaving. I say, Hagone.
Camera's dirty. I cleaned my camera before I came on. I didn't clean my phone before I came on. Hear that in a second.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Jeff at Pine Island Research has a good show. He's done a lot of hands-on, boots on the ground research in a way that it was more of like a conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
He would go 8 miles up a river to a spot where he would do his research, do his thing, and he'd do that twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to. I'm not going to get into it. It's a spoiler if I do. But he's got a lot of good evidence that has been collected, DNA evidence, and hopefully we'll be hearing something soon from him as far as what he got. And
Oh no, that's awesome. I haven't got any of that.
yeah, he's definitely it's a pleasure listening to him because he's really passionate about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So sorry, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh no, that's good. I like learning, man. Look, yeah, I started my channel because of all this. It was more or less of a personal vlog. I really didn't think I'd have people listen to what I had to say. I was more or less doing it to keep a video log of what I was doing, but it slowly grew into something else. Getting out there in the field and getting what video evidence I could. That's all I've got, really. Video evidence and some audio. I don't have any hair samples. I don't have any track casts or nothing like that. But I've got it on video and audio. What evidence I do have. I've found 3 distinct tracks, good ones, since I've been out there doing that. 2 18-inch tracks and 1 16. And that 16-inch track, man, that joker had to weigh about 900 pounds to leave the indentation in the ground that it did.
Really?
Dude, because I weighed, at the time, I was 275, almost 280 pounds myself. And I could barely, stepping down beside it in a pair of boots, I couldn't make the indentation that did, nowhere near. I mean, it's like I wouldn't even step in there. And I'm like, good God. That's a hell of an indentation.
I mean, were at the same time you saw these both tracks at the same time, or?
Oh no, different times. Different times. I found one, and then I found another maybe a month later. I found one not too long after. I found a knuckle track in the same area, and it was weird. It's like you could put. Oh, you can't see my hand here. It was like that. Like you could almost see the knuckles and that thumb out there by the side.
Okay.
And it was huge. It was like twice of my hand. Oh, excuse me, just a second. I'll be right back.
Sure, man. Somebody's getting scolded. Would you kids stop yelling? Damn it. Scotty Waddles, what's up, man? Bigfoot could weigh over 1,000 pounds. Yeah, he could. Yeah, so sorry I had to switch to my phone, but hey, you know what? Gotta do what I gotta do. So like I said, in a little while, we'll let Lee continue on with his stories, and I'll ask some questions. If you guys got questions, put them in caps, and we'll get those asked. And then, I'll probably bring you guys, if you want to come on, I'll start putting the link in chat if I can remember how to do it on the phone. But yeah, and, we'll come hang out.
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries.
Yeah, since I've been out there, I had a lot of fun getting out there, doing my thing. Most of my most of my findings, my heavy findings, the good ones, have been along waterways. I've got some video of a wood structure, almost like like a lean-to. It's wood stacked up against this log that was fallen, a tree, and the difference between that wood structure and what you would normally see, you've got the timbers, the sticks lined up, right, like you would normally see, but there's other sticks woven into the others. It's really weird. I ain't never seen anything like it. And I first found it after it snowed about a year or so ago. And I come back in the springtime after the leaves on the trees had come out, and that sucker, you couldn't see it. It was completely camouflaged. So if something crawled up underneath there, you'd never know anything was there. It's kind of wild. I honestly don't know why you would do that, why something that big would do that. I couldn't really tell you that that's exactly what it was for, but that's where my mind went to. It looked like, it just looked like a little blind, more or less. That's what it looked like.
It was just an observation, could be a blind, but not necessarily a hunting blind or some sort of shelter.
Now here's the interesting part about where I do my investigations and research. Not only is it around waterways where I found a lot of my major findings, also it's around well-used hiking trails. I can't tell you how many times I've been, on camera, running my mouth and run into different people on the trail. I don't always go off trail. I found some neat stuff on the trail and around the camping areas, but there's a lot of human activity out there. So they're active. I'm sure they're active while other people are out there. And I tell you why is because there's a lot of people who are out there for one thing, and it's get away from the city.
Sure.
And they don't give a damn about anything else. They're in their own little world, and they're just walking along doing their own thing. And I've had this happen twice, and I was out. I stepped off a trail. I might have been 20 feet off the trail. That's it. And these people come jogging by me. No, the first set was riding their mountain bikes. And I threw my hand up. They didn't even see me. They didn't act like they saw me. And most likely they didn't. And so I believe old forest folk know this is a thing. There's very few people out there poking their nose in the woods. Very few. And the ones that do get off on unsanctioned biking paths, there's ones that the National Forest have marked, and there's others that have not, and they're the good ones. They're rough, man. They're rough. And I like it. You get way back in the woods with those. And, yeah.
So how long were you in law enforcement?
About 13 years.
All right. Because I always, my dad's a retired police officer, detective, and I was basically raised by cops. I always said, you hear these like from Sasquatch Chronicles or whoever, a cop telling a story. I tend to give it more credence because this person's word can put somebody away for life.
Right.
In a court of law.
Right.
So, I tend to, and I think most people do, believe in, a law enforcement, officer's story. It was one of the reasons I wanted you to come on because of your background. And to me, it leads to credibility.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest with you, is when I got out of law enforcement, I think, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things, the real workings of the world, the real good and the real bad. It was all fun and games at first. Just like, the old saying goes, the first 2 years of a rookie's career is his best. Right. Because after that, all the mystique and all the excitement and all that other stuff is gone, and the rest of it's BS.
It's everyday bullshit.
Everyday bullshit. Yep. And you learn there's a lot of difference between city officers and sheriff's deputies and the sheriff, between the chief and, majors and captains and lieutenants and all that other stuff. And when you've got a bureaucracy, you've got to answer to. It's like, I hate the politics.
Yeah.
I really hate the politics. And it's like, they want you to enforce policy and not law. And they want you to, it's just aggravating. And I've had enough of that.
If I had become a cop, I would have been like fourth generation. My father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather were all police officers.
Right.
My great-grandfather was killed in the line of duty in a motorcycle accident. He was a motorcycle cop. Yeah, but I saw the shit that my dad went through. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this. When I was 18, I tried to get on with the local county narcotics task force. But that was my only attempt at becoming any sort of, law enforcement.
Right.
Just really didn't feel it, Well,
it really does take a special breed to do that, and not everybody's cut out for it. I mean, they start out that way, but I've seen some of them not make it past the first year until they're ready to move on. Others, they'll stick with it. I mean, it all depends on your mindset. And the work conditions. Sometimes you'll have a string of good luck and have a couple of really good years where you don't have to do a whole lot of nothing. And it's the job don't seem that bad. But when you're having to deal with killers and suicides and you're looking at death on a basis where you wouldn't think you would have to deal with on a college campus. I work for a college, an accredited police department, state funded. I mean, run into a lot of stuff you wouldn't normally think you would run into on a college campus, and it changes your idea of things, and especially when it's around a bunch of kids that's not much older than your nieces and nephews, right? And you just look, they're just kids, man. And you see how the mental health system is failing us, and who gets blamed for that? The police department, because we're not dropping them off at the local nut house enough. It's like, it's not. We shouldn't have to be doing that.
No, you're not there for that.
No.
You're not a taxi service. You're not there to evaluate their mental health or a lot of times you deal with drug addicts and alcoholics, and you don't know who's what.
You really don't. You really don't. And that's one thing you, as a police officer, you wind up suffering from is, hypervigilance. And it affects you. That's why there's a lot of police officers, after they retire, some of them don't make it past retirement.
I know.
Once
that job is gone, they lose. I've heard so many stories. People dying left and right after they retire. My dad's been retired since 1993.
Right.
And he turns 80 in 2 weeks.
Oh, good on him. Good on him.
Yeah.
Glad he was able to make it past that mess.
Yeah, and I do know a lot of the cops that he worked with. A lot are still going, strong as far as life is. They're still living, but there are those, few that I knew that, died on the job or committed suicide. There's a high suicide rate among cops. It's a shame, just like among doctors as well.
Yeah. I just recently had to put a friend of mine in the ground because of that.
Yeah. See, that's a shame,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize that.
They don't. It really is a thankless job for the most part. What makes it rewarding is the people who actually do thank you. And when you can actually see, for those of us who really do care, and that's another point. That's another problem. There are some out there. There are bad apples out there. I've seen it. Yeah. And I've had to work around it. It's like, you stay the hell away from me. You work yours and I work mine. You stay over there, I'll stay over here. We'll get along. As long as I don't see your ass. That's awful. Because there's going to be a time when you're going to have to rely on one of these jokers. When the fit hits the shan.
And the less you know, the better.
Right. And it's the damn thing. Ignorance is bliss. And I hate to draw this parallel about the paranormal, but there's sometimes when I still wish I was ignorant and blissful. And I didn't know what I know now.
I haven't had negative experiences. One that scared the shit out of me, but it wasn't life-changing. I felt a presence in a room, and I felt the primal fear.
Right.
That was the only negative thing I've ever had. So I look forward to more things happening. I haven't had that shit. I don't want to experience that again.
Right.
I haven't dealt with any of that. So I'm just like, bring it on. Be careful what you wish for, but
my nephew's got the same attitude. I mean, he's a Marine. I mean, he's out of the Marines now, but once a Marine, always a Marine. You talk to any Marine, they'll tell you that.
It's same thing.
So that's right. You don't really ever shake it. You don't ever really get rid of it. He's like that. He wants to have an experience so bad, but he's told me a few things that makes me think, there's some folks who rationalize the shit out of something to the point to where they dismiss the evidence that's right in front of them. They've had an experience, but they kind of deny it. They don't want to see that. It needs to be right here, smacking them in the nose, saying, "Here I am."
And a lot of times it is. It is right there.
Yeah.
But they don't recognize it.
I told him, I said, "Son, be careful what you wish for." But he last Friday I had him on my show, and him and his girlfriend had took a tour of what's her name? Ghost Adventures. I can't remember the guy's name now.
Baggins?
Baggins, yeah, Zach Baggins. Yeah, he's got a museum out there in Nevada, out there in Las Vegas, and he took a tour of that. He said that's one of the creepiest places he's ever been.
Really?
Yeah, and they paid the extra money to take the VIP tour, and they went down in the basement area where all the bad stuff was, and they were given instructions on what to do while they were down there, things to avoid with some of the objects that were down there. And he's hard-headed. This one doll down there that he was specifically told not to look in the eyes of. He said he stood there and said, come on, pushing it. I said, are you a complete dumbass? I love you, son, but damn, why would you do that? He said, because I want something to happen. I said, okay, all right, I got you.
But some things are so subtle, though. You know,
it really is. It really is. The first time I had an experience in my house, that I knew distinctly was paranormal. I gotten home from work. I worked a night shift. My stepson had already gotten on the bus and went to school. My ex-wife, she'd already left for work. I was home by myself. It'd been a long night, so I'm getting ready for bed. I go in the bathroom, turn the water on. I'm brushing my teeth, washing my face, and with that water hitting the sink, it's like I hear sound coming from the next room outside the bathroom. I was like, what the hell is that? It sounded like a crowd of people. You ever been in a crowd, a large crowd of people, when all of them are talking and you really can't make out what each one individual is saying? They're all at once. That's what it sounded like. Like, what the hell is that? So I turned the water off and went outside. I thought, okay, back then, I had one of those big TVs. There was no such thing as a flat screen back then. But they did have timers on them. You could set a timer on the TV to where it come on or go off at a certain time. I said, well, somebody's turned the TV on. You know, set it up to remotely turn itself on. And I'm like, well, maybe that's it. No, that wasn't it. So, all right, it's late. I'm tired. I'm just hearing shit. So I go back in the bathroom, turn the water back on, and finish cleaning up, and I hear it again. It's like there's a party in my house, and I wasn't freaking invited. It's in the next freaking room. I was like, what the hell is this? So I step out there, and I could still hear it. And it's all around me, man. So what the hell? So I turned that off, and that kind of creeped me out, man. So I say, okay. I just chalk it up. I chalked that one up right then at that moment. I said, this has got to be just fatigue. I'm just going to lay down and just, that's it. Yeah, that was the first time that happened to me. That was wild.
So tell us about your show, man.
Well, like I said, it started out like a personal vlog, and after it started growing a little bit, I figured I was going to try and get evidence or raise awareness and being out in the field. And a lot of personal issues had, at one point, my health got really bad. And I had quit making content. I couldn't get out in the field like I wanted to. And I'd originally named it Cryptids, Myths, and Mysteries. And I'd been on a couple of shows, Venomous Fringe. I'd been on Daniela's show, Hidden Existence, and I was on Bigfoot Odyssey. It boosted my show. It was great, and I was like, wow, I don't know what to do with all this. But like I said, after a while, my health got bad, and I wasn't putting out the content. And I was thinking about, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to keep going out here and, spinning my wheels, doing the same old stuff day in and day out? What am I doing? And I got to thinking about it. I said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you quit focusing solely on Sasquatch and just trying to bring a community together. The Ravens, and I thought long and hard about what I was going to do. Was I going to keep Cryptids, Myths, and Mysteries, or was I going to change the name? And I finally come to the conclusion I got to change the name. I got to change it. I got to take it in a whole new direction. I want something. I want this channel to mean something. I want it to be more.
Sure.
And so the Ravens Outpost, and the Ravens come from Norse mythology. Odin's ravens. Well, they went out and scoured the earth for information and brought it back to him. I said, okay. I heard that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna run with it. And I figured that I've got this idea, and I've always felt this way since I started the channel, that somehow or other, it's all connected. Everything's connected. The spiritual activity, cryptid activity, UFO activity, all of it in some form or fashion is related somewhere along the line. And to raise awareness of one, might as well try and raise awareness of the other. And maybe I can give someone a platform where they can tell their story, get it out there, and not feel like they're going to be ridiculed about it. Because honestly, no matter how many times I say that I don't give a damn anymore, to the general public I don't, but for the people who are closest to me I do. Because when you get that ridicule from someone who knows you better than anyone and still says, "No, man, you're lying," that shit cuts deep, man. That's like, you got to be kidding me, really? And then you just clam up, and you got to internalize all that stuff. And then you sit there, and it festers, and it metastasizes into something ugly. And if it's a bad thing that happened to you, and you can't talk about it, I mean, it's going to affect your behavior. And I've had to deal with that myself. So I wanted to create a safe space, a place where people could land to share their experiences, get it out, or just tune in and listen to me run my mouth, because I do a lot. I do a lot of that. I try to find topics to just sit on and just discuss. If I could bring up a topic that at least plant a seed in your mind. Now, the other night, Kerry Arnold was talking about this and how he was not trying to prove anything anymore, which I'm not either. I've got nothing to prove to anybody. I've already found out what I know. If there are other people out here who have had experiences, who would like to tell their story but feel like they can't.
Well, there's a ton of people out there.
Right. And I know there are a ton of other avenues out there. I mean, you look at Sasquatch Chronicles, you look at the Confessionals, and Bigfoot Odyssey, and the list goes on and on of other platforms. And I just want to be another optional outlet.
This one. It's this channel has been, it's been a blessing to some. I didn't realize when I started off that the effect it has on the person telling the story, and the release that they get from telling the story, because they couldn't tell it to anybody. Right. And right. I didn't realize that in the beginning. It wasn't one of my goals.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a byproduct that was awesome. It was like,
mm-hmm.
Oh, this happens too. Oh,
mm-hmm.
fantastic.
Right. I've watched. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, I've watched your show quite a few times, and I've saw how, the audience participation, people from chat get in and they talk. You have a rapport, and it's a good conversation, and it's so relaxed. This is a great show, man. You've got something good here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You really do. This is another, to be honest with you, another inspiration for me to go forward with my channel and do what I'm doing. Because I've got to have a rapport with the people around me. I got to, if everybody could open up, in chat, get on in front of the camera, and we just have a good conversation, it means so much.
I'm just looking at this question.
Okay.
Richie says, real question, Mowgli, does he still hunt or go fishing like he did before?
Not like I did. I pretty much give up hunting and fishing. I mean, not fishing, but just the hunting part a long time ago. I mean,
You said you gave up fishing. I gave up hunting, but I fish like,
I don't fish like I used to, but I'll fish more than I will hunt. Back in the day, I hunted because I had to. Me and my dad, I grew up in a family. We were kind of a family at a time. We raised a garden every summer, a big one. So we had all our fruits and vegetables, and when hunting season hit, and I was old enough to get out there, it wasn't just Daddy out there. It was me and him bringing in meat to put, in the freezer and on the table.
Okay.
So I did what I had to do, but I mean, ain't nothing kept me out of the woods but me. No fear. So if you're wondering if Sasquatch has kept me out of the woods, no.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm not going to let that happen. I got the feeling that, good Lord made this planet and we're all on it and we got to share it. And I'll be damned if I let some big hairy bitch keep me out of there.
My buddy, my ex-roommate, when I was living in the house that I'm at now, or I went away. I was in Florida for a while. My roommate called me, and my ex-roommate, and said he had an experience. And one of the first things I said to him was, "Don't let it change you. Don't let it define who you are. Don't let it keep you out of the woods. Don't let it keep doing what you love. You love fishing. You've been doing it this long. You had an idea they were there. Maybe you didn't believe they were there, but because he was into, the subject, and he would go out squatching, but he had never seen anything.
Right.
So when he finally did, it shook him up. Well, I was like, don't let it change what you do and who you are, man. They're out there now, like you thought they were out there. Now they're out there. So keep your head on a swivel, but don't let it define you.
Right. And just trust your gut. If you're in a place where all of a sudden you get that feeling, just trust it and go on about your merry way. Pick another spot, but don't let it keep you out of there.
I agree. What else we got in here? Any more questions? Harry Man, Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. What's up, Nikki? Another good channel. There's a lot of good channels in here tonight. Final and Research. Anybody have questions? Please put them in caps. And if you don't mind, I would like to, if I can find it. Post the link in chat and have people come on and hang out, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's see. This will be fun. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I forget how to do this on the phone. Let's go copy the clipboard. Outpost comment. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. Figured it out. All right, guys. So the chat, the link is in chat if anybody wants to join us. And again, Jimbo wants to know, Mogs, has Lee ever reached out to a medium or remote viewer for more answers?
Actually, no, I have not. I've thought about it, though. I've actually thought about it, but I don't have anybody close enough to me right now to do that. I would try it if it was open to me.
Good question, Jimbo. I know you've had that question yourself. He posed the same question to me once. Not that long. Kelly says, Danny, any more Bigfoot out your way? Wasn't at you, but
well, yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. I just made a documentary about 2 months ago about this family not too far, a couple of counties away from me, who has had the whole gambit, man. On my channel, it's called the Terror on the Parkway, and animal mutilations, Bigfoot activity, spirit activity, and some UFO activity, strange lights, the whole gambit, man. It's just really weird. Somebody asked me here not too long ago if I've talking to them, if I've talked to them since I released the documentary, and I had. They had actually had something slap their house, so just said, yeah. It slapped the house, and the dogs went nuts and went out to find out what it was, and nothing was there. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Mr. Lee, thank you very much for posting the Ravens Outpost link.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Shooting is open for 420. At Richie, everything's weed. Donald, I didn't find that question. Scroll back a little bit. Donald said he asked me a question. It's up a bit. I went up a bit, and I couldn't find it.
Your chat's way more active than mine.
Chat's non-existent.
Pretty much.
No, dude. No, a lot of people have subscribed, by the way. So if you check your count compared to what it was or whatever, but there are people subscribing.
Guys, I appreciate that. I really do.
You've got a good show going on, and I think more people check it out.
Thank you.
What kind of hours you got? Like, what do you have a set day that you're doing it, or are you doing it randomly?
My shows, I usually try to go live Wednesday night and Friday night. But this morning I'm exploring with doing an early show during the week, and it seemed to do pretty good. There's a few more people who can't watch me so late. So,
okay, yes, I saw that, and we answered it earlier, but I think she missed it. Lee, after the fire, did the paranormal activity stop?
Yes. Yes, actually it did.
Oh, Donald, yeah, you know what, Donald, you're right. The other night we were talking about Squatch and having somebody had, and they were in the woods and they caught a really big ammonia smell. Let's see. Okay, Monster, the other night you mentioned you got an ammonia smell up at the rim. What was the situation when that happened? Actually, it wasn't at the rim. It was just outside of Sedona, Arizona. This was over 20 years ago. I came out for a visit, and I was just hiking the trails. My dad had dropped me off at this trailhead, and I was going to see some ruins that are back there. And at one point, there were these three big rocks that were kind of like leaning on one another, and like it's like two were like this, and one kind of covered the front so you could pass through it. And I stuck my head in there like to walk through, and I got a really bad ammonia smell. And at the same time, in there was a rattlesnake. Don't know.
Lord.
Yeah, don't know if it had anything to do with the smell and the rattlesnake. I have no idea, but yeah, I do remember a strong ammonia smell. Could have been an animal was urinating in there. I have no idea.
Right.
Urinating in there. I don't know. So yeah, that's what that was about, Donald.
That's crazy. That all my time out there doing whatever research I've been doing and investigating this, that, and the third, that's one thing I've never experienced is a smell. Any strange odors? None.
Yeah, I don't know that I've experienced really, aside from something like that stuck out, that I remember it 20 years later.
Right.
I think if the rattlesnake wasn't involved, I wouldn't have remembered the smell. No, seriously. I mean, it was like, yeah, I smelled that once, and there was a damn rattlesnake in there. I don't think it would. I don't know. I don't think I would have remembered it.
If you would have smelt that odor, you think you would have stepped on that rattlesnake? Would you have noticed it had you not smelt that odor?
No, it was far enough away that when I stuck my head in, I saw it to the left, and I wouldn't have stepped on it. Reaching Cold Mountain before you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good.
Howdy.
Hi, Mr. Lee. So I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I joined the chat a little bit late today. You had mentioned you hear voices, like a radio kind of, and I've never told anyone that before, but every once in a while that will happen. And someone in the chat had said maybe try rebuking it in the name of Jesus. And I had not thought of doing that. Like someone else suggested maybe getting a medium. I don't, it's like there's a radio playing in the distance and it's multiple voices, but I can never understand a single word.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I always just ignore it. Like I pretend that I don't hear it because then I think, well, if they think they can't get a hold of me, then they'll go away.
I mean,
the line's busy.
Right.
I mean, well, yeah, I guess that's a good way to do it. I mean, ain't nothing bothering you, is it? Other than their strange voices. I mean, personally, I mean, if it bothers you, I try to take dominion over the place. Like that's what I did. Had a set of wind chimes. I just rung them through the house. I read where Tibetan monks used to do that with their bells on their staff. They shake the staff and repeat a mantra and this, that, and the other. I said, well, I'll just shake the bells and shake them up and just let them know. This is my house. Leave me alone, please. Now, I try to be respectful. I'm not an ass about it, but I'm respectful, but stern. Yeah, just take dominion. Let them know you're the one who's holding the cards.
Okay. My mother is Irish, Scottish, and she turned severely to Christianity because of the things that were happening to her. Like she would have things jump on her in the middle of the night and strangle her, and she would be paralyzed, or she would hear things running at her across the hall and go to jump on her bed. And so she really turned to being a Christian. And sometimes I think it's in the blood. you know?
Yeah. I'm beginning to think that. I had my theories about that. I was talking to a cousin of mine, and a lot of my family, we've kind of fallen out over the years. Nothing major. It's just time and distance, just
Sure.
you just fall out of touch. And I got back in touch with him, and we got to talking about his experiences and his brother's experiences and our aunts and uncles' experiences, and we're like, well, you think this might be a family thing? I said it very well could be, man. It very well could be. I don't know. I'm not writing that out. I believe this is a belief that I have also, that once you have an experience of some type in a paranormal sense, mostly dealing with spirits or cryptids, it's almost like you're marked, and the the odds of you having another experience goes up exponentially. It's what I'm seeing. Lots of times when you hear of people having experiences, after they have one, they'll more than likely have another one, and then another one, and then another one. So it very well could be. I mean, I'm no expert. It's just that's my observation.
Right.
Real quick, Donald Fuller, it's Eddie Murphy. Anyway.
Eddie Murphy.
Okay, well, I'm down to 6% and I'm outside to get internet signal, and I just wanted to say that I hear that too, and I'm going to try what you said, and I'm going to bow out and watch the chat. So,
thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, have a good night.
Great having you.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Uncle Bones, what's happening? Ben T, how are you? There's a lot of people I didn't get a chance to say hi to. Normally I try to get to everybody. Now, he said, it's my house. If you don't like it, get the F out and take your Bigfoot wife with you. Goony goo goo.
Goody goo goo.
Canadian. It's too easy.
Oh, yeah. She can't climb a flight of stairs, but she can climb the fuck out of a tree, can't she, Gus?
Gus is your wife's a Bigfoot, Gus.
Yeah. They slapped their faces down their face and come up with fish and said, goony goo goo. Oh, one of the best comedy sketches ever.
Yeah, I used to live quarter mile. It was like basically around a block from Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
Yeah. I lived there first, and then they moved in. But yeah, it's just weird where we lived. It's northern New Jersey, outskirts of the suburbs of New York City. So you had a lot of people from TV shows, actors. It was a rich neighborhood. We weren't rich. We just kind of snuck in.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
my dad was a cop, and he had made an arrangement with a woman to live on her gatehouse, her little corner. It was this tiny little stone house that was on her estate. And it was in this rich neighborhood. Dizzy Gillespie lived up the street.
No kidding.
Rocky Aoki was the founder of Benihana.
Uh-huh.
He lived up the street. He was a big race cars, and this guy was pronounced dead like 8 times.
Oh, Lord.
But he used to come around. He used to walk his dog with his son, Steven. Now, Steven, I don't know if anybody here, it might be a little too old, but Steven Aoki is a famous DJ now. Like with the electronic dance music, EDM, but it's just funny. I was like, I saw him on TV. I was like, damn, I knew that kid. I knew that guy when he was like, 5 years old.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. John Travolta. I went to the same high school as him.
No shit. Get out of here.
He didn't graduate. He dropped out. It was just where the location where it was. It was just so centrally located to Manhattan. So it was a lot of famous people. It was cool.
That's crazy.
So let me see. What time are we at? Hour and 30 minutes. I'm gonna post this again. Post comment. All right. So the link is in chat, guys. Anybody wants to come on? Richie says, I would love to hear the tree knocks. Dude, Richie lives in Florida.
Yeah.
And he's got a big backyard. And then he's got a bigger backyard. So where his fence is on the opposite side of that fence, there's 28,000 acres of wildlife preserve on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's some shit in those woods, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I don't doubt that a bit. Well, the first time I heard the tree knocks, man, I'll be honest with you. I'm like, who would be mending fence out here in the middle of nowhere? Where's that coming from? Who's doing that? I didn't know. And I just realized, it wasn't until later I heard it again and taking a position where I was at. I was like 3 miles deep in them freaking woods, man. And ain't nobody mending fence out here. What is that? It's not a woodpecker because I hear a pop, 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 pop.
It's because I kind of like, I can be an asshole at times where I'll be like, oh, suddenly somebody remembers something from, years ago and now it's a Bigfoot or some shit like that. But you talk about the wood knocks. I do remember times being in the woods, be it hunting or whatever, and never thinking about wood knocks. But yeah, I do remember a few times being out there like, who the fuck is chopping wood?
Right.
And
right.
just that's all I thought it was somebody chopping wood.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what a wood knock was. Bigfoot was not in my paradigm.
Yep.
Oh
yeah.
But it's funny because I'm always like, oh yeah, whatever. You didn't remember that bullshit. Apparently you did. I hey, if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself and I'll admit it. But yeah, I recently I was like, shit, I do remember, being in the woods and thinking someone was chopping wood. Made sense to me. Let it go.
Oh, yeah. And people wonder why or how they're able to stay hidden like they are.
It's what they do.
Yeah. It's all speculation, and most of all the evidence we have right now is what we would describe as trace evidence anyway. But, lots of times that so-called trace evidence is enough to get someone convicted of murder, And I look at it like this, they're so subtle in what they do with their wood structures and their wood knocks. Lots of times you just wouldn't think of it.
What's up, Jeff?
Hey.
Howdy.
Go ahead.
Hey, Lee, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hanging in there.
Good. Man, that's about all we can do, ain't it?
Well, I enjoyed listening to you sharing tonight, and
Well, thank you.
I went over and subbed to your channel. I was number 302.
Thank you. Wow.
Awesome.
You guys got me over 300.
I think it's probably closer to. I didn't look. I know I was 302. It's probably over 310 now. But.
Jeez, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Right on.
Me and you are in pace. I was at like 295 just the other day, and I think yesterday I hit like 306 or something like that. So we're growing at about the same rate.
Nice.
But no, I enjoy listening to you, Lee, because you've got a real genuine delivery to what you talk about, and I think it's easy for people to relate to, and I appreciate that about you.
No, thank you about that. I try to be as transparent as possible. You can only feed so many people so much bullshit, and we get enough. For those of us who have experienced, or those of us who believe enough to actually entertain these ideas, I think that. Thank you, Mr. Lee. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think we've had enough bullshit fed to us between, all the lies we've been told by the government and other people who just don't seem to realize what's going on.
Well, there's a lot of people in the community who are genuinely taking a honest approach at trying to advance this science and solve this mystery. And then there's a few out there that are stirring it up a little bit and maybe, leveraging the shock value and really not helping us move forward. I mean, for every 2 steps forward, they take us a step back or half a step back. And you can't get discouraged by it and let that keep you from moving forward in your effort, because this is present in almost everything. I mean, you guys were talking about police officers before. I mean, the one thing that gets good cops killed are bad cops a lot of times. They go out there and they don't exemplify what they should do. We're fortunate that there's not that many of them, but there's no argument that when they go out and do the wrong thing and they ruin public perception over somebody's experience with them, that now that person views it. It isn't just that way in law enforcement. It's that way with nurses and doctors. There's very few bad nurses, but the ones that are out there don't do the good nurses any favors. Same thing with teachers. It's every profession. And that's existing in our community. You've got people who really aren't serving the efforts of most people very well when they go out and put a black eye on the community,
Right.
But,
No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
I'm just trying to get comfortable.
I understand that. I got to get me a new chair. My chair's about done.
Yeah, I like your background too. The lighting, the backlighting on the letters and stuff. It's cool.
I designed that myself. I appreciate that. I need a green screen back here.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I mean, there's so many different options that you can go down, and everything costs money. If you're going to get this software or subscribe to this service or whatever.
Exactly.
You start adding it up. I mean, at some point you're going to say, is there a budget on this, or are we just going to go broke?
I mean, yeah. I've thought about dropping bills on StreamYard. StreamYard offers some good outlets. I mean, I like the way it's set up, but I like my other one too. I'm going with OSB.
I use the one thing I do like about StreamYard, and it may be the case with some of the other services too, but like I had a guest on the other week that I said, I'm going to send you a link to our StreamYard studio. You just click on it and pop on about 15 minutes before the show, and we'll talk about the interview and kind of what order we'll approach this in. Right. And he said, well, is there an app I have to download? And I said, look, it doesn't matter if you're using your iPhone, iPad, laptop, PC. It works better with Chrome than it does with, like, if you're on an iPhone and you try to use Safari. Although on my iPad, I've used Safari and popped on most show before on a StreamYard link. It doesn't bother it at all. So, I mean, it just seems like the iPhones, it doesn't work well through Safari with StreamYard. But iPads and then every other device seems to work.
And it doesn't work well with DuckDuckGo either.
Yeah, But I like that, you not everybody's on the same page. You get a guest and you say, look, I need you to click on this link 15 minutes for the show. You got to have some faith in the fact that when they click on it, your show's going to go on. And you're not.
Exactly.
The other night, I spent about a half an hour trying to solve a tech issue with Pat's help. He was on there with me. Our guest, Russ Jones, was having a connection issue. Or not Russ. It was the mayor, Greg Stokes from Pennsylvania. And I was just like, Pat says, don't worry, Jeff, I'm here. I'll do the show with you if I have to. I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to do, I mean, I love you, Pat, but I don't want to do that. I'd promise everybody the mayor is going to come on and we figured it out, but gosh, it was kind of a hassle. And everybody was so patient in chat. I mean, we were like 25 minutes late and they're just like, fuck it, we're just going to have fun until it starts.
Right.
But that's how we roll.
Yeah. It's something I've noticed too, and that when I actually have some activity in my chat, that it takes on a it's like a beast of its own. It's life of its own. That's right. Yeah. And it can take your scheduled talking points into a entirely different direction. I love that, man. I love that.
Right now, there's the three of us, and then there's chat.
Right.
That's its own show.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
My guest was on Monday night. Monday night, my guest, after we were done, Carlos, afterwards, we were backstage talking a little bit, and he doesn't know the people that end up in our chats. Everybody kind of says stuff sarcastically or tongue in cheek at times, and people get the flow and feel of it. They don't take it out. And Carlos is like, man, I was nervous. I was watching chat, and somebody was talking about something about their nuts, and and I was like, and I'm like, dude, chill out. That shit happens all the time here, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And that's another thing too. That's I schedule my shows to be after midnight because it's really the language isn't family friendly, and I want to kind of keep it that way, but I also want to get in there. That's what I was thinking today. I should have maybe at least one or two shows during the day, where everybody can join in, and it's not so wild,
Well, the one thing that I've kind of chosen to do here is just I tried to find a niche that wasn't being filled. And I'm not saying that nobody's tried to fill it, or to some degrees other channels are filling it at times. But there's plenty of them out there going after the shock value. Some of them are really into the entertainment value. Some of them are going all across the paranormal spectrum. And they'll have UFO shows, ghost shows, Bigfoot shows, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Some of them are catering and doing it well to talking about the hoaxing and maybe some of the negative aspects of the community and making sure people are aware of what's real and what's not real. That does the community a big service to do that. That's a special niche for that.
Absolutely.
What I just didn't see, and I noticed this talking to my partner Doug about it, was that that nuts and bolts of research, the tactics and the techniques and the tools that we use and the ideas and the way that we will develop a theory and try to work to squash the theory with the same energy we work to try to support the theory so that we can give it a fair shot at, is this what we're experiencing? Is this real or not, right?
Yeah, will it stand on its own? Will that evidence stand on its own? Yeah.
Our most critical skeptics, serving that role ourselves. And, was there really any channels dedicated to just the research edge of the nuts and bolts? Now, I get it's not exciting. It's not there's not a lot of drama in that. But I also think there's it's not going to be a 30,000 subscribed channel. It's not going to grow to that. But there is a certain niche of people who are really looking for that. And that is entertaining to them.
Absolutely.
To those people, maybe the shock value part of it really isn't entertaining,
Right.
But, trying to say, well, I'm going to do a show that everybody can come on. I don't care what language they use as long as we communicate well,
Yeah.
And then say, well, I want to do one on a different day that fills a different niche for a different purpose. I kind of feel like if I try to serve more than one master, so to speak, and try to get to where I'm filling multiple niches, I don't know if that's what would really be best. I find the one avenue I want to drive down, and I'm going to drive down it.
That's right.
If I run somebody over doing it, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to go off road here. I'm trying to make everybody happy. But
Dude, I mean, the reason why I did it, and it's really not for shock value. It's more or less I like being able to speak freely, and cops are like sailors, the way they cuss every other word, and I get passionate about what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
usually, and I get censored enough.
Yeah.
I got an 8-year-old son that I try to watch my mouth around, and I think, do I want to make a show that my son could watch? No, not really. Do I want to make do I want to produce a show that people can relate to, older people who have had experiences that could feel like they could speak freely, and use the language that they would express exactly how they feel without feeling like they were going to be ridiculed or talked about? Oh, don't use that language here, please.
Yeah.
No. If you want to say fuck, you can say fuck.
Yeah. Me and Pat Turner joked about that, and I shouldn't say joked about it. We had a lot of conversations about this, hours of conversations about what niche would you fill and what direction would you take. I mean, he's wanting to do kind of a completely different turn every now and then on his Sunday shows of talking about music and talking about things that maybe more people could relate to, right?
Right.
And that's cool. I think he'll be real successful doing that. But I also look at this whole, I joked about in chat earlier. I mean, I tried to create a channel that I felt was like the Continental Hotel of the John Wick movie. Nobody's allowed to get killed here. It's the safe place where you can go and talk about this shit. Nobody's going to attack each other. It's like, it's
right.
Just not. Now, I'm not saying I govern it that way or I tell mods, hey, if somebody gets disturbing, kick them out. I don't do that. I have never banned anybody. I don't want to ban anybody. But I really feel like we should be able to approach this with the ability to communicate with each other, that even, like I've said before, even if I didn't like you, I mean, if I thought, oh, your channel sucks, I got to approach this as, I can learn stuff from you and you can learn stuff from me. So we still got to know how to communicate.
Right.
So I'll see people in chat that will say something or ask questions that maybe are thrown out there to stir the pot a little bit. I just don't put those questions up. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to say it doesn't advance the conversation forward. Now, I don't care if you say the F word. I don't care if you call me a dick, whatever. That doesn't offend me. I'll put you want to call me a dick in your question, I'll still put it up. I don't care. I've got thick enough skin. But we just need to learn how to communicate and not get offended. If I ask you a question about when you say something happened or you witnessed something, and I ask you a question, legit question, a fair question of, is there another explanation that could have caused it? Have you considered this? I'm not trying to take a shot at you. I'm not questioning your integrity. I'm asking a fair question.
Yeah.
And people should perceive it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is when you get 30, 40, 50 people in chat, it only takes one or two to not perceive it that way, and they start pushing the conversation that way. No, that's not constructive. It doesn't work.
Right.
We need to be able to ask questions of each other. And it's not about holding each other accountable. It's about opening each other's minds up to understand, is there something else that could have caused it? Is there a way to perceive this that maybe you're missing a little bit?
Exactly.
And when somebody opens my mind up that way, I'm thankful for it. I don't take it personal, but
it's a good way to have that mindset. I mean, me and my wife is skeptical. I mean, she believes that I believe what I've seen. She hasn't had those type of experiences. She's had her own type of paranormal experiences, but nothing like I've had. But she's like, I don't care you're doing all this, but please just don't get to the point where you're seeing Jesus in a potato chip. And I'm like, fair enough. You know? I'm like, that's that one little voice that's always in the back of my mind. What else could this be? You know, you explore all your options, and like you say, if this evidence will stand on its own, as far as it being whatever it is, Sasquatch, some type of paranormal, other type of paranormal encounter, if you can rule everything out and only answer you have is some type of paranormal encounter, then that's what it is. But I agree with you. You've got to rule it out.
Well, I mean, the fact is that we just deal with so few facts in this mystery that we have to be careful at how we present that stuff. I mean, a good example is and I've seen this over and over on different channels, including my own, is when people start talking about orbs, you know. Mm-hmm. Me and Doug Hychek has 9 live cameras. We've got more footage of orbs than we do of black bears in northern Minnesota. I mean, it's a real phenomenon. I look at orbs as a real phenomenon. I look at UFOs as a real phenomenon. I look at spirits as a real phenomenon. And I look at Bigfoot as being concrete real because of my experience with it. But I understand that why other people have to look at it as a real phenomena, or they don't believe, whatever. Right. But my point is despite the fact that I believe they're all real, until I see something in my research or have a personal experience where I experience 2 phenomena together, I don't believe Bigfoot flies a UFO, and I don't believe they fart out orbs. I mean, I haven't seen that. Right. Now, when people say, well, when you see Bigfoot, a lot of people say they see orbs. Fine, I'll acknowledge that to be true. A lot of encounters will say both. That does not mean that orbs are always there where Bigfoots are, because I've heard as many encounters about Bigfoot that don't involve any orbs. I've heard a lot of encounters about witnessing orbs that there's no Bigfoot around. So, you know, to say factually, Bigfoot and orbs are always, I don't see that. I don't think that's a fair statement. Exactly. I think it's fair to say that they're all a real phenomena. I don't think it's fair to say that you can speak factually that one's related to the other in some way. Right. But you see that happen a lot because people just feel like one experience means that's the law. You know, that's the law of nature now for them. Yeah. But yeah, I used to be when I did investigations that, I used to ghost hunt. When I did my paranormal investigations, investigating spirits and all this, that, and the other, and I used to be of the idea of when in doubt, throw it out. Whoa. But I'm not right now. I'm more or less of the idea when in doubt, file it away, because there might be something there that you're just not seeing yet. It might be a part of a puzzle that might fit later. A really dynamic and impactful encounter or experience, I should say, does not mean that it is conclusive in any way. It could simply just be a coincidence that you saw 2 things interact at one point. It doesn't mean that the law is that they always interact together. So, and we have Chewbacca here. Nice. What's up?
What's up, Chewie?
Hi guys, how are you?
How's it going?
I just wanted to interject on Jeff's things that Bigfoot doesn't fart orbs. If he was at fucking Chili's and had...
Well, Bigfoot doesn't live at the Taco Bell drive-thru like you do, Paulie.
He came on his ass like an orb. Jeff, you can never be me. Listen, let me tell you, there's 100 people working in my head right now.
When you drive away from Taco Bell, if you have your window down, orbs are flying out all over the place.
Dude, they're coming on my ears, my ass, my mouth. They're everywhere. I'm like an orb dispenser, like almost like a Pez dispenser. But I just wanted to make you guys laugh. What the fuck? It's Tuesday.
Well, you did.
That's
that.
right.
You
That's
should
right.
always-
That's right.
We had the serious part of the show. Now it's time for the jackass to come in and poop everywhere. Have coffee fucking sacks on his back like he's a fucking drug mule. He's bringing shit into the country.
And as soon as Polly comes on, the sex bots show up.
I know, right? What the hell?
How is that? That now that's a phenomenon that we could just say like Bigfoot farting out orbs. As soon as Polly comes on, the sex bots show up. Although I feel that there is some scientific fact involved in this phenomenon. But
Jeff, I just want to tell you one thing. If your name was Al, right? And you were a mammal, you'd be Al Fudgepacker.
Lee, the week that I started my channel, Pine Island Research, Polly was referring to it as Pine Island Recycling.
I love you too.
I'd pop in a chat and say, "Hey, Pine Island Recycling, how you doing, you motherfucker?"
Oh lordy, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't happen too often. I don't usually get bots.
No,
I get them all the time. Russian bots.
No, I've seen that. Not here though. I was surprised. I mean, I got rid of it, but that was. I have to
what
say that.
pisses me off is they come in and I don't believe that I don't see the difference in subs. I mean, I'd welcome 40 or 50 bots in and I'd kill them as soon as they post, but just at least subscribe when you do, right? Come on.
That's right. Damn it, man. Sex bots.
Hey, it's up. And thanks, Paulie, by the way.
That's awesome.
Paulie,
Somebody should start a channel called Sex Bots and Bigfoot.
I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't one out there already.
Yeah, there probably is. It's a big world.
I'm not saying I subscribe to it, but you know.
Right.
So the kind of the neat association with you having a law enforcement background, Lee, is I was looking at my 4 guests that I've got lined up weekly for February. 2 of them are former law enforcement.
Nice.
Yeah, one. Let me find my notes here. One of them is Paul Herring, who is a former police officer for 12 years, and then he got promoted to forensic investigations. And he's a big cryptid researcher, and I just think it's so fascinating when you're trying to talk about the nuts and bolts of research and looking at how those guys who are really deeply involved in research are doing some type of regimented research and how they instill those investigative instincts or systems in place that they've practiced throughout a year in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of interesting. I mean, we see it with Steve Coles with his investigative ability. I mean, before he was applying it to Bigfoot, he did a lot of investigative work, and you see him utilizing those same tactics when he, looks at an encounter or does an investigation. But
Steve Coles.
But then I got another guest, if I may plug him, is going to be this. I'd never heard of him before. And then I started doing some research on him because Doug had him on his Untold radio show. His name's Jesus Payon Jr. This guy was an actor in the series Breaking Bad, and he was an actor in the series Better Call Saul. And he is huge into Bigfoot research.
Wow.
Now, he wasn't, one of the main roles. He was kind of the motorcycle riding, Hispanic little goatee, huge guy, kind of that B-roll enforcer. But it'll be fun to not only just be entertained by some of his side stories of the show, but
That's
now all of a
awesome.
sudden talk about the research and how does that work? Have you ever been on set and have other actors share stuff with you that just because they know you're into Bigfoot research? That'd be an interesting question, but
A lot of people like that are really guarded, especially if they're still in the business,
yeah. They don't want to pigeonhole themselves into a
Right.
stereotype. But
Right, exactly. I completely get it.
And when is that show?
I think next week is Paul Herring, and the week after that is Jesus Payan.
I don't know.
So,
Howling Underdog Films. What's up, Charlie? Good to see you. Oh, guys, we're at 2 hours. I think we covered it all. You got anything else you want to share, Lee?
Jacob's asking, do you guys cover paranormal or just cryptozoology? I'd say Moog Show is kind of open to whatever people want to talk about.
Same here. I'm live every Wednesday and Friday night. I'm working on getting a daytime show. I've got my channel's growing. It's not just in numbers, but just content I'm trying to put out. Like I say, I'm not trying to limit myself anymore. But mostly right now, you can guarantee I'll be on Ravens Outpost and producing the Ravens Eye. That's the show, the live show, every Wednesday night at midnight and every Friday night at midnight. And we discuss everything. I mean,
midnight.
anything.
What time zone?
Eastern.
East Coast. Yeah.
East Coast, yeah. So midnight Eastern time, and we cover the whole gambit, man. Sometimes we'll jump down a rabbit hole and it's hard to climb out of. But yeah, it gets interesting. We'll try to be as informative as possible.
But that's nice because it gives the chat kind of an area to roam and an area to breathe, just like here. I mean,
right.
I don't think Mogs has ever gone on to a show with a plan on where this is the direction it'll take. It just has a life of its own, and it gives the chat the ability to ask a question that may completely steer the direction the show goes. There's no need to get it back to the middle of the lane,
Yeah.
But,
yeah, like Stevie B earlier, I posted that I had a guest tonight, and she texted me. She's like, "You have a guest?" I don't plan guests usually. I mean, I did in the beginning and then got away from it. I was like, screw this.
Right.
Everybody
people
shows up
pop
in chat and they're like, man, there's a guest on. Are we supposed to behave better than we normally do? Are we still allowed to?
Crap, what do we do?
Oh, shit.
But yeah, it's, we couldn't do it without chat. I couldn't do it without chat.
Oh, no. No.
It wouldn't be any fun to do it without the chat.
Yeah.
I've only done 9 shows so far, and one of them, just because of the restrictions of the guest availability, I pre-recorded it and then I aired it. And while it was airing, I was in chat talking to people. I'm like, man, this thing just isn't alive like it. It was a great interview, but that interactive two-way feel was not there, and it was robbing of the experience for people who were watching it live.
I've got 2 people that come into my chat every time. Whether they might be the only 2.
Okay.
They might be Ray Daw and Eric the Purple Hobbit. Mm-hmm.
Well, now your
there.
link was shared here, so you're going to have all kinds of degenerates showing up on a regular basis.
Well, come on, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Come on over. Moog, I tell you what, I really appreciate the opportunity tonight. I had a great time. Thank you, son. Hey, I appreciate it. You got a great show.
Thank
you. You do. It's like I said, no bullshit. It's one of my inspirations to do my show the way I'm doing it.
And thank you for that, because it's embarrassing because I'm hearing that more and more recently.
Because it's a free forum, man. It's an open place.
Other people have just said the same thing as far as, they started channels because of me, because I gave them that, feeling of that, well, why not?
Well, there's some inspiration that, one, if an idiot like Mogs can do this, I could do it. I'm joking. One of the things that I think most is maybe selling him short on here is that people sense the same accolades I sang to Lee a little bit ago, is that you're a genuine person, Mogs. And when you come on and talk about something, it's not scripted, it's not rehearsed. You wear your emotions on your sleeve. If you've got an opinion on something, you express it and communicate it well. You're tolerant. I mean, I've seen guests come on that I can visually see in your face. You're ready to pull some of that long hair out, but yet you do it. You treat them with respect, and the show goes on. I mean, that's something that I think people see value in, and that's why they come.
Everybody deserves the same amount of respect, no matter what.
That's right. That's right.
Difficult times, maybe understanding someone or whatever. It's just. But we get through it, and it usually turns out well.
Yeah, and for anybody who's in chat that's afraid to click that link, I can say this. Two things I'll say to it. One, I've came on and created a complete train wreck out of Moog's show before, and he hasn't blocked me. I still can come back. Let that be an inspiration. The other thing is some of the best people you've popped on this show are people who have never clicked that link before, and it was the first time. They're like, dude, I'm a little nervous. Wow. They click on. Those are the funnest people because they have a story that nobody's heard before. They're telling it a lot of times for the first time. So it's like you can almost see them unburdening themselves, sharing it with somebody. It's therapeutic. And I get a kick out of it. I love it when somebody clicks that link and comes on Mogs' show and says, I've never been on before. How you doing? I wish it would happen
that's
more
the best.
often.
It's those people that say, Connor sent me.
Connor sent me. Where's the free weed at?
You don't see them in chat, and all of a sudden they're backstage. I'm like, okay, Connor sent them.
Well, again,
awesome.
You had a great show tonight, Mogs. Appreciate you letting me pop on. I'm going to hop out of here, and it was nice meeting you, Lee. I'm
nice meeting you, Jeff.
Looking forward to seeing your shows in the future now that I've subbed. So
absolutely.
And I love the late night format. I mean, there's so many shows on there, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. I mean, to be able to see somebody come on later in the evening, for me, I'm Central Time. So, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, that's cool because there's usually not a lot of options out there at that point.
Yeah, but I'd say.
It's that late night, pour yourself a bourbon and kick back and take it in, But you guys have a good rest of your week, and I'm excited to catch your future shows, Lee.
Thanks, Jeff. Like I said, nice to meet you, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff. And be sure to check out Jeff's channel, Pine Island Research. He's got some good conversations, and apparently he's got some good guests coming on. I'm looking forward to that Jose coming on. I want to hear that. I want to watch that show.
Oh, dude, I'm subbing now.
Kelly, take care. Good night. Anybody that's in the path of this snowstorm, wherever that's hitting, be safe. Hunker down. Don't be stupid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jeff, I've just subbed. Can't wait to see you. See you next content, man. Thanks to everybody in the chat.
Mondays at 8 Central, I think.
Cool. And thanks to everybody in the chat for the questions and the warm welcome.
Yeah, chat is always they always have a warm welcome. They're family.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I hope we got you some subs, and like I said, I think you deserve to be heard.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, man. I really do.
Pleasure. So, well, I'm gonna say goodnight.
All right.
Thank you so much again.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
I'll check out your show tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you. Warm welcome.
Hopefully you'll have a good show.
I hope so.
Subscribers.
Well, they're more than welcome, man. More than welcome.
Right on.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Take care, man.
You
Thanks.
too.
I don't know if I can click you off. There we go. There we go. Well, guys, that was a good show. I like I said, I had watched Lee earlier today, and I had seen him a few other times, and nobody was listening, nobody was watching, and I was like, this is bullshit. You know, this guy has something to say, he's well versed and well spoken, and you know, what what I'm about. I'm always having new channels come on and promoting them, and I think this would be another good show to enjoy on a Wednesday night or a Friday night. I'm looking forward to it since they're not my nights, so I have the time, which is cool. I'm glad I'm kind of back and have a little more time to invest in watching YouTube again, because I kind of got away from it. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. You guys were awesome. If you like the show, hit that thumbs up, that like button. If you're new, subscribe and hit that notification button, and also share. Share on social media, wherever. I'll be back on Thursday. Anybody wants to donate to the channel, you can do so through the PayPal link on my channel. I'll put it in the description below. Also, it's in the description on the channel. But yeah, guys, I appreciate everybody coming out. Lee, thank you for showing up. That was awesome. Jeff, another great night. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in 2 days. Love you all. Peace and God bless.